Thank you very much for having me today. I really appreciate it. So, as you said, I'm president of the Canadian Construction Association, and I'm here today to represent our 20,000 member firms from across Canada. These are general, trade, and civil contractors, suppliers, and other professionals working in or with Canada's institutional, commercial, and industrial construction industry. And on behalf of our members, thank you so much. We do appreciate all the steps that have been taken to date by Parliament to help Canadians and businesses in this crisis. Since the pandemic hit Canada, the industry has really come together to do its part to protect workers, their families, and communities. Safety has been and remains our number one priority. We developed a national health protocol in collaboration with our members, with PSPC and Health Canada, and we created many links and resources on our website to promote the provincial standardized health and safety protocols to help minimize the spread of coronavirus and so that work could be continued safely. And these stringent protocols have been put in place by our members from across Canada, and at times these practices were changing daily, and we're very proud of our role as essential service providers. And at the same time, our local companies and associations have been supporting their communities and healthcare workers with donations of PPE, free hot lunches, funding for urgent care clinics, food drives, you name it. So we're very proud of the work that they're doing for their communities. And this culture around caring for our communities and giving back is based on the foundation of the small and medium-sized family-run businesses that make up 70% of our industry. And it is these businesses that are still struggling despite some of the emergency measures implemented by the federal government. So not only are there unbudgeted costs for sanitation, leasing equipment over a longer period of time, there's significant productivity costs as firms implemented the physical distancing. We had staffing shortages and, of course, extra time spent cleaning. So the industry is eager to step up and support the federal government in its efforts. But for this, we do need these firms in the supply chain to survive. And this means that our firms need access to working capital now and during the recovery phase. And that is why we've asked and are seeking urgently cost relief on current federal projects in the form of an emergency COVID-19 cost reimbursement program. And they need this support now, not at the end of the project, which could take months or even years to settle. And CCA is recommending that these eligible costs be reimbursed up to 5% of the contract value as a starting point, subject to the program being adjusted as the duration and full impact of COVID-19 becomes clear over time. We believe that these extensions of time and fair compensation for reasonable costs incurred for federal construction projects would be supported by sufficient documentation from the contractor, and this would alleviate some of the financial pressure on construction businesses today. We have briefed you on the past on the issues of payment in the chain, and thank you for your support on prompt payment. So you are aware of the timelines from when a project is started to when the generals, trades, and sub-trades can get paid. And as you know, this can be several months. So given that much of the slowdown started happening in March, combined with the increased costs, the balance sheets of the mom and pop firms are likely not to be in very good shape come August, September. They may not be able to afford to complete the projects they've already committed to, and also have the working capital necessary to finance the startup of new projects. And they cannot incur further delays of payment due to potential litigation because of contract issues related to COVID-19. So this access to working capital now and as we move to recovery must be considered with any stimulus spending on infrastructure. So speaking to recovery phase, we are starting to see glimmers of hope and in flattening the curve, and this is certainly thanks to the leadership of all levels of government and Canadians. As you know, the industry employs 1.5 million Canadians and contributes about 7% of the GDP. Investing in infrastructure is a proven economic recovery tool that also yields social benefits, creating jobs, providing training for apprentices, and helping to build and maintain important public services. And there are hundreds of critical projects that are already in progress or need to be maintained, and many of these are essential to the well-being of our citizens and support for the delivery of essential services. like water, energy, transportation, and healthcare. And again, it's these smaller firms, the manufacturers, the suppliers, the trades who finance the materials, the fabrication, the labor as projects ramp up. So moving into recover, we believe that extended federal government backstopping may be required over a longer period of time. And in terms of any economic stimulus, we believe that there are some principles that should be followed hand in hand with any liquidity support, which would be continuing to work together, federal departments, working with provinces and municipalities to eliminate red tape, make the project money flow as quickly as possible to get people back to work. Looking for balance in terms of the sectors, the regions of Canada, size of firms, not having one or two $5 billion projects, but all levels of projects for people to participate in over an 18-month period. And certainly clear and consistent rules on COVID-19 and access to PPE that does not detract from frontline workers. And finally, as I said, flexibility in dealing with COVID-19, federal project costs and delays, and what kinds of projects would qualify under the Invest in Canada Fund. So a cost reimbursement program for the current federal programs today, combined with a well-considered recovery plan for the future, will ensure that the construction industry can play its full role in supporting a strong economic recovery. It will allow us to absorb some of the displaced workers from other industries, get them to work, and provide well-paying jobs for millions of Canadians already in the industry. An investment in infrastructure is an investment in Canada and our communities, and we're willing and able to partner with the government. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee on these important issues. I'd be happy to answer any further questions on behalf of the Canadian Construction Association.